because of that, I knew, okay, this wasn't a dream. I wasn't imagining it. I wasn't hallucinating it because of the heat. This actually happened to me. I did die.
Hello, and welcome to the Jocelyn Moore Show. I'm your host, Jocelyn Moore, and as always, we're here to inform, inspire, and entertain with dynamic conversations that matter. Today, we're diving into second chance life, from near death to purposeful living, with our guest, Peter Gunn, a U.S. Air Force vet, bodybuilder, musician, author, and poet. Hello, Peter. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Jocelyn. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My first question to you is, what's harder to finish, writing a single perfect poem or getting through a heavy 2-hour training session?
Well, LLP, or writing in LLP, which is my own brand of linked lyrical poetry that I invented, is very focus driven. So to be able to do it properly takes a lot of focus. So I would say that's even harder to accomplish than just a 2-hour training session, because I mean, I've been walking to a gym since I was 16, at least for me.
That's a long time. I've been in gyms, been out of gyms, been in gyms, back and forth. Of course, you're a bodybuilder, so you know all of this.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, just last year I didn't miss a single day at the gym. This year I'm allowing myself 1 day a week.
There's different parts. I learned this much. When you go to the gym, you might do the upper part one day, the next day the lower part. You don't do the same thing every single day, right?
Yes.
Because you get sore.
You risk it overtraining that specific muscle group. Yes.
Oh, okay. So do you, you do stretches first, right? And then you go into it?
Well, 1 day a week, I would focus on stretching and mobility, and I would lift weights.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was lifting weights all the time.
No.
Oh, okay.
And then this year, I'm focusing on, doing 48 hour fast once a week. So the second day of the fast, I'm allowing myself time off from the gym.
Let me say this real quick before we move on. When you say fast, so you just have water, juice, or what? What is that? Because people fast
Just
different
water.
ways.
Now, I will allow myself one little bit of green tea if I feel like I'm really dragging, but other than that, nothing else.
Oh, okay. All right, let's move on. Okay, regarding your second chance life, take us back on that journey. How old were you? What happened? And what did you see?
Well, this was in the early 80s, and I was about 7 years old, and I was given some chores to do, in the yard. And back then, parents hit children. You'd get the wood spoon, or the a swatch, a branch from, or the belt, Yes. And also, let me say, my parents were good parents. Okay.
Of course.
It was normal to leave and leave your children at home back then in those days, so it wasn't necessarily I was being neglected in any manner, shape, or form. It was a particularly hot day. It was in the summer in the early 80s. And, well, of course, when you're that, I was only 7 years old. When you're that young, you don't realize signs or symptoms of heat stroke that are coming on. And unfortunately, I didn't know what I was dealing with. And I remember feeling very tired because I was starting to pass out. So as a child, what do you do when you feel tired? You lay down. Man, my body continued to cook in the sun, and I passed. After that, I remembered waking up in what people call, refer to as their light body. So if you want to think of yourself as a black and white picture, and it's reversed. So you're made out of white light and you're transparent. You can see through yourself. After that, I remember a tunnel opening above me and being brought up into that tunnel with the white light at the end of it. And it was all dark on all sides. I couldn't see anything except the white light. When I got there, I was greeted by what I interpreted to be an angel. It was a very beautiful, angelic looking being. And they brought me, or propheted me, over to what would be a life review. Okay. But of course, I was only 7, so it went rather fast. But also, I want to add that the sense of time that transpires over there isn't 3-dimensional, because time in our world is linear. You can feel it. It's happening. But back when that was happening, it almost seemed like my life review was instantaneous, a snap of a finger. After the life review, I was brought over to a gate, and I perceived that to be the gate of heaven. But then we were stopped by another angel that was there. He looked down at me. When I looked up at him, I had this sense of I guess, deja vu. Like I knew him. I've seen this angel before. To this day, I don't know who it was, but I felt a kindred spirit, kindredness within him. Within him. And he said, "Your job isn't done. You have to go back." And then the next thing I knew, I woke up back in my body. Paramedics hovering over me, trying to revive me, and trying to figure out what just happened.
Because I hear stories like that, and it's sort of comforting to know that people have said happened to them and they didn't feel death anymore. They didn't feel, I mean, they, just like you, I mean, of course, they were much older. They said that someone said, your job isn't finished. You must go by. I mean, you must go back. And they said they felt sort of comfort with
Yeah.
that.
Well, there's an all-encompassing feeling of love and oneness with the universe once you're in your light body. And to this day, it's something that I will never forget. I actually miss it because it's hard to describe in this world. The best way I can describe it is like when your mother hugs you when you're a little kid and you have, and you just feel everything's all right with the world, you're in that embrace with your mother. That's the best way I can feel. It's like an embrace from God. It's all encompassing love.
So you weren't afraid you weren't afraid at all then, listening to you.
No, I was not afraid at all. It
Mm-hmm.
felt like this was supposed to happen. This is
Just like you
normal.
said, right.
Yeah.
Oh, so through that experience, how did that change you as a young boy of 7 years old?
Well, it made me realize that number one, we're going to be judged for our actions. Otherwise, I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have a life review. It's like, and also, I brought back, and it happens to a lot of people with NDEs, paranormal problems. So, I would start seeing things before they happened. I was seeing spirits, both dark and light. Um, so it made life difficult for me, and because of that, I knew, okay, this wasn't a dream. I wasn't imagining it. I wasn't hallucinating it because of the heat. This actually happened to me. I did die. And I had to deal with it at a young age. It sort of freaked my mother out because I was telling her about things that were happening before they happened. And, she's a deeply religious woman, but it um, was out of her, shall we say, religious range. Everyone has that's in a religion because we were strict Roman Catholic at the time. It was out of her box and it made her feel uncomfortable. She was actually scared when I was doing it. So I just shut up about it and I suffered in silence and figured things out on my own as a child.
So did you ever talk to did you ever talk to your friends about it? You're young. Yeah, I was just wondering. Because that would freak them out too. Or then maybe they would laugh or
Well,
stop
I
playing.
after that, I very much became an introvert. I was
Mm-hmm.
never really a social kid, but after that, I like very much became an introvert. To this day, I'm very much an introvert.
Really?
Yeah.
So going through the experience, you said your mother, how she react, but and your other family members going through that traumatic experience with you. What was going through their mind? They didn't know what was going to happen, if you're going to live or die or what.
Well, the only one I talked about it with it was my mother, and
Mm-hmm.
when I was telling her, hey, you're going to there was one where I was told her, Mom, you're going to slip and hurt your ankle on the ice, and she looked at me funny, and then the next day that's what happened. And I only talked about it with her. Well, as far as my sister, I have a slightly older sister, and a father. I never mentioned anything until much later, much later in life.
So I guess what I'm saying, did you ever go to the hospital?
Yes, I went to the
Oh,
hospital
okay. Yeah, I was going
afterwards.
to.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, afterwards.
Hmm.
Right. Okay, that's why I meant what I was saying. I know they were frantic. You're in the hospital. My little baby's in the hospital. What's going to happen to him? That's what happens. You're so young. You're just a little child. You know, you have your life ahead of you. Have your life ahead of you. Let's move on to your early stages. Like your struggles. Not early stages, later stages in life, like the issues with your weight and you later your PTSD. What was that like? 12 years old? Wow. Can you say how you were obese at 12?
Yeah.
You were
Well, I'm only
obese?
5'3", so I'm not the tallest guy. But at that height and that at that age, I was 230 pounds. So I was
Oh,
quite
okay.
big. You
Mm-hmm.
could be considered morbidly obese.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to start figuring things out on my own because any advice we were getting from the doctors, the dietitians, it wasn't really helping. So I actually had to go do research on my own at that age, go to the library and start picking up the books that had the layer dust on them that, that are 4 inches thick that nobody wants to read, and start looking for actually scientific fact. And just through discovery, little by little, I found out that the food pyramid is upside down, and it's a big psyop that they play on all of us, unfortunately. Once I figured out how I was supposed to be eating for me, I lost the weight, fortunately.
So when you said the doctors they weren't any help to you, what were they saying to you then? When you had
Well,
to
they were
do your
preaching the food pyramid. They were preaching the food pyramid, and calories and things like that. But that just, what worked for me isn't necessarily going to work for everybody, but that wasn't working for me.
So when did you get into bodybuilding?
Well, as soon as I was able to legally walk into gym my own at 16 is when I started going to
So
the
you said
gym and
16.
working out. Yeah.
Oh, so when you were coming up, like say 12 years old, did you have your classmates were they laughing at you? You know, you know how kids could be. They could be mean to other kids. How was that like coming up in school?
Any of the larger kids got made up fun in school is one of those things where if you're gonna you're fully aware of it. If you're overweight, you're gonna get made fun of in some manner, shape, or form. So no kid was immune, and it happened to every kid back in those days. Yeah.
It's funny because I had a cousin, she's deceased now, and when we were coming up, oh, she was always heavy. I think maybe I know in high school, I think she was about maybe 5'4", and she was overweight, overweight. But people liked her because she was sort of fun to be around. You know, if that makes sense to you. So it's
Hmm.
fun to be
Yeah.
around. And she had another sister who was just the opposite, and people didn't really care about her. And I think, let me see if I'm saying this right. Being heavy, of course, she was insecure, but for people to like her, she found a different way for people to like her, being jolly and, oh, come on, we want you to come with us. Does that make sense to you?
That's a coping mechanism. That's normal for children to do that. Yes. Once they say that that they're steering away attention from their weight, and then they're actually becoming socially popular. That's normal for children to act like that. It's a survival instinct, really.
I know that sometimes when you in high school, someone might be voted the most handsome, um, someone voted the person who's going to go far, different things like that, right? Now I noticed that this when I graduated from school and years later, I've seen some of those people and they just the opposite of what they were when they were in school. The ones that were most popular, they look way different years later. And the ones who had a lot of weight on them, they lost the weight. And of course, it was different. I know if you've seen that with
Late
the people you
bloomers.
went to
That
school.
happens to me. That happened to me. I was overweight in high school, but if you
Hmm.
look at me now, people don't recognize me. Yeah. Yeah. Funny story is my first bodybuilding competition when I was 18. Just so I had already graduated high school. And one of the girls in the audience was, of course, catcalling all the men. And then she got backstage, was so we say, placing attention on me. And then I realized had no idea who I was. She had no idea who I
Oh.
was. I just like, okay. I could have been, so we say, not a gentleman, but I decided, I let her know, hey, do you recognize me? Do you know who I am? And it
Uh-huh.
took her a minute. Yeah.
Mm. I've watched back in the day those talk shows where they had they had guests on the show who were made fun of when they were in school. And then they will have another guest to come on and say, so would like to date you. Oh, really? This person was your classmate. Oh, really? I can't never. I don't know who he is. And then they showed the picture behind the gentleman. She said, oh, no, it was you. He said, yes, of course that was me, right? And she said, oh, yes, I will go out with you. In front of everyone on TV, he said, I do not want to go out with you. I mean, that was like, bam, you know.
Dated a girl in my early 20s that was on the Jerry Springer show. And the thing about that was that they gave her lines to rehearse. So
They
it was
do?
all she had to learn the lines, and they gave. We were up. I was up in Wisconsin at the time, and
Uh-huh.
the show was being shot down in Chicago. So they actually got a limo for us, brought us down in a limo to Chicago, nice hotel room. But she had lines to learn for the show. It was all staged.
Well, I know it's staged, but I didn't know they had lines to learn. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Oh, okay. What made you join the Air Force?
Well, I've always had a feeling like I need to help humanity. Serve humanity in some manner, shape, or form. And now, when I was younger, I was looking into the priesthood. Like, okay, could I do this? But then I saw failings not only within the Roman Catholic Church, but the priests themselves. They were actually drinking the altar wine before they went to serve mass and handing it to the altar boys. So it wasn't. I saw that. Yeah, no, it was say one thing but do something else behind the curtains sort of situation. And also, you have to bear in mind that a priest has people over him. So it's sort of like a rank structure in the military. So you have the priest, you have the bishop, you have the archbishop, you have the cardinals, you have the pope. So if he does something that they don't like, they're all going to shut him down. Okay, so I didn't like that either. So going to the military, but then again joining the rank structure, I still at least felt like I was helping humanity and serving humanity in some way, knowing that I would get out someday and then be able to serve humanity in a even bigger and better way.
Now, did you say how old were you when you joined? Did you? How old
I
were
was
you when you joined?
24 when I came into active duty.
24. Wow.
Mhm.
Explain this to me if you can. All right. When you 18, you can't drink, which you shouldn't. You can't drink, but when you're 21, they put a gun in your hand. I never understood that at all. What
It's
do you
just
think
one of those
about
things
that?
where if you enlist into the military, um, you have to be given the tools and the opportunity and the permission to do what is needed to accomplish the task that they need you to accomplish.
I know it seems so, but you know what I mean? It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
They want you to be so like a grown up in the army, but 18, are you still a child. So what was it like for
Well,
you?
you have to bear in mind too, in the Air Force, there's young, I think there's a few geniuses out there that had bachelor's degrees there. So they're 21 years old and they're flying fighter jets. So, you have to think about that as well. It depends on how you started out and where you're at in life.
Okay, that's true. And how was it for you in the service? Did you, I mean, beginning, did you say, "Oh, I'm not too sure this is for me," beginning, but then later on, okay, this is good. Did you
Well, I
experience that?
initially went, because when I was thinking about going to service, I went to my local VFW. And I asked, the Marines, I asked the Army guys, I asked the Air Force, I asked the Navy guys, hey, if you had to do it all over again, what branch of service would you do it or go into? And I highly suggest anyone thinking about it, that to do this as well. And they all resoundingly said the Air Force. The Army guy was complaining about his knees. He says, my knees would be this messed up if I joined the Air Force. So then that's why we'd be going to the Air Force.
I've heard a few people say that they prefer the Air Force than the Army. People say, now talk to us about PTSD. I mean,
Post
obviously,
traumatic stress disorder.
right,
Yes.
right. So
Yes.
could you talk to us a little bit about that when you were in the?
Well, I was diagnosed by the VA after I got out with PTSD,
Mm-hmm.
and it sort of made a lot of things made sense because then the little light went on in my head. Like, oh, wait a minute, now I know why I act the way I act. Because first, I thought it was us becoming an old curmudgeon. Didn't like noises, didn't like people, wanted to stay away, and it got worse after my service incident in Afghanistan, where I came close to almost being blown up by mortar. So. Um, it was quite traumatic for me, but I didn't realize it. You sort of like downplay it. Everyone downplays it in their minds and didn't realize it. And it was affecting you. When I had gotten home, I was doing something completely normal, getting my car for service, and a customer walks in and has an incoming siren on their phone of incoming for that we play on bases, military bases overseas if there's incoming missiles. And it immediately involuntary triggered something inside of me. And my heart started beating real fast. I started sweating and I'm like, what's going on? What's wrong with me? And that's when, I finally realized, okay, wait a minute, there's something more lingering than, just, something I can shrug off. There's more.
I had a cousin who uh, was in the army. I think it was the army. And when he joined, I forgot how many years he was in the army. When he came out, he was all messed up. He was he was all messed up. It was so sad. And what gets me is that, you fight for our country, you doing this, you doing that, but is there really help?
Well, the money thing, it all comes down to money. Is they don't want to pay what's owed to the veterans. We were willing to put our lives on the line, for all of you guys that aren't serving, and they don't care about it. They want to try to keep the money flowing. So, but then again, their concept is get rid of the veterans as fast as possible. So they just give us pills and then send us on our way.
Give you pills and all messed up.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
messed up, My cousin, he was just fried. His brain was just fried. No, it just, I can't stand it. But anyway, I want to ask you about, let's move on to your music and poetry, all right?
Okay.
Comparing your music and poetry, which one gives you the deepest outlet for expression, music or poetry?
Well, people that wouldn't listen to poetry will listen to music. So
True.
the music has more effect on people as well because it can bring them to tears. If it has just the right sound, or it resonates within them, it brings up memories.
You're absolutely right. Well, what got you to poetry? What got you to poetry? They similar, like you said, they similar. Do you have, that's right, I'll talk about that later, about the Amazons a little bit later. We're going to get to that. Okay. So let's briefly talk about your band, the Angelics, right?
Yes, the Angelics.
Briefly talk about that, what they're about, and why did you choose the name?
Well, first off, let me say that I had no intention of forming a band, okay,
Okay.
or putting on an album. If you would ask me, 1 year ago, hey, you want to do this? I'm like, no, no, I don't want to do this. I have no intention to. I've personally played. I'm a hobbyist as a musician. I
Oh.
played guitar for about 6 years, and by my definition of a hobbyist versus say a professional musician is a professional. Yeah, it's only a source of income would be from music. So they put they're relying on it for a paycheck. So anyway, so I would say about last January, I contacted my friend Andrea Giordani, who is a very talented voice actress, and to help me revamp my Amazon's audiobook. We hired about 30 voice actors, got all the sound effects. It was going to basically make it sound like you're listening to a movie. Okay. And I decided, okay, great, Andrea, you got that. I'm gonna go see if I can find a band because I wanted to put together a soundtrack for it. And I happened to come across a gentleman named Leo Sather out of Düsseldorf, Germany, online via Upwork.com. And he's like, yeah, we can accommodate you. We can make it work. And then he brought in Max Lang on the keyboards and Alice Richter on drums, and we did altogether about 10 songs where I wrote the songs, did a lot of the guitar work. Leo also does guitar too, so thank God. Because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but um, we seem to mesh real well, cohesively. We're all conservative minded gentlemen. We had our own, so we say, failings within the church. Like myself, it was similar. So we're very like minded. And after I contracted for them for 10 jobs, after that was done, I was about to say, okay, thanks for your help, guys. Let's get going. And you know, I was willing to walk away at the time. They said, hey, do you want to put out an album? Do you want to form a band? And I thought about it and I said, okay, as an entrepreneur, I'm spinning several plates at once right now, and I'm constantly trying to keep them spinning. So to add this to another plate, I was reluctant at first. I had to think about it. And when I agreed, I finally agreed, like, okay, let's do it because I think we can make a difference to the world, especially with the what I'm trying to put in the music, the message. And if you listen to any of the songs, you'll quickly understand. But also, they were hesitant on themselves to take me in. They saw what I could do with voice writing and guitar, but songwriting and guitar, but they wanted to see if I could put in the hours. So there was a little bit of hazing going on. If you listen to the song Heartbreak Hit, you'll understand that's on the album. They gave me the word sugar tits, and they said, so if we're going to be an 80s band, okay,
Yes.
we need a heartbreak song. I want you to integrate the word sugar
Oh,
tits
okay.
into it. Okay, and that's me singing the song. I did majority of the work on that. They just wanted to see if I had what it takes to actually produce a song on my own, if I could put it to work. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Were they surprised when you did
Yes.
it?
Well, I mean, it was one of those things where they told me like they were fully expecting to be able to just throw that song away because it wouldn't be any good, but it was good enough to put on the album. So they were like, yeah, pleasantly surprised.
Have you been traveling a lot with the
Well,
band, let's say?
no, as far as that goes, we're going to put the music out there and then see what happens. We want to build up a fan base first because them being located in Germany, me being here in the United States, that it's not really logistically feasible right now. It doesn't make sense right now at this time. We want to build up a fan base so then if we have a fan base there, enough like, hey, we're going first live performance at this location, we'll know we'll have people out there waiting for us.
Have you always wanted to be in music when you were a little boy? Some people knew
I
when
always
when
loved
they little.
music. I always
Uh-huh.
loved music and poetry and both. Always saw them as synchronous, so they're joined together. I would say one of my first poetic and also music influence would be the band Whitesnake and the singer
Mhm.
David Coverdale.
Mhm. Oh, okay. Let's talk about turning to poetry, okay? Your poetry is written using LLP. What does it mean and what is the mission behind it?
Well, it means LLP is linked lyrical poetry, and the reason I developed it is because I felt it was about time to bring poetry into the new 21st century. Because if you look at all the other writers that have tried before, it's nothing new, nothing reinvented. LLP closely resembles rap enough where that the Gen Z, Gen Alpha will recognize it. How many of that generation, the younger generation, can memorize a rap song forward and backwards, real easily? So it flows enough like rap where they recognize it, but also it's poetic enough to be understood as poetry. So it fulfills both bases, and it's something that Gen Z, Gen Alpha could say this is from our generation versus something that's from the 1900s, as they like to say.
How long did it take you to do the LLP? I mean, like, take you, what, months to come up with it, the LLP?
Well, I studied just about basically every poetic form out there, and I looked at pros and cons for everything like that, but I like nothing quite fit the bill because it all felt too old. So I need to reinvent it.
Okay.
I need to make it recognizable, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, something that they could, like I said, they could call their own. But to write an LLP is a different thing. It's not like writing a rap song. It's very time consuming. I would say you could sit down for an hour and maybe get a paragraph if you're lucky.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Sit there for an hour, you might get a paragraph, and then you turn around, maybe the next day you come back, and then you
Yes.
scratch that and start
Consistency.
all
It
over
takes
again.
consistency to do it. It takes consistency to do it. Yeah.
It's like being an author. When you're writing something, you write down one day, to come back, you scratch all of it, right? Talk about being an author. What drove you to write the Amazons?
Well, in 2010, when I had my daughter, of course, every parent wants to start enrolling their children into things that they love, And I always loved the classics, the epic poetry,
Mm-hmm.
The Odyssey, Dante's Inferno, Beowulf. And I remember though, like thinking, like, well, wait a minute, why would a young girl want to read this? Other than it be forcibly assigned to her in school, why would she want to read this? So I started looking for epics that were written for the heroine, but they didn't really exist. So I'm like, how come no one's done this before? It is time consuming, it takes time and effort, but I figured, okay, maybe I'll be the one that's do it, because it's about time that the feminine be encompassed into the hero journey.
Say that again. It's about
It's
time.
about time the feminine be encompassed into and incorporated into the hero's journey.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. So what does your daughter think of the Amazons?
Oh, she had a lot of input when I was writing it, and especially for the main character of Jacqueline, or I should say Lynn, because she wanted someone that a young girl could look up to, but also be on par, or if not better than Superman. So other characters, that boys would look up to.
That, you know what, that's true, because it seems like more towards the men than the women, right? But you have changed that.
Yeah.
And that's very good for your daughter to
Yes.
see that.
Yes. To be a mentor, to be to look up to that character. Yes. Yes, very
Right.
much so. Very much so. I also incorporated like characters like in the first stanza of
Mhm.
Lynch, because he was a man that no one wanted.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to, I'm not actually saying it, but I'm inferring it, like, as a man, we're born with physical strength over women. And a lot of men are born with, so we say social things, maybe a family line. Okay. And if that's taken away from you, which it was in this society, when these human men were thrown into society, these women are stronger than men. Okay. They're 10 foot tall on average. They don't care about that. So your entire value as a man is who you are on the inside. And this character Lynch wasn't very good. And I've tried to point that out. Yeah.
Well, how many books have you written? Amazon, how many have you
Oh, the
written?
second one's in work. I had to do a complete rewrite, so it takes time.
Yeah, I know it does. So is it on Amazon? Where are your books?
The first one is on Amazon Kindle. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, that's very good. You ever thought about, you know how some books, how they, what you call it, where they, read it to you. I forgot what the word is. Or what
Oh,
the
yes,
word
I
is
have an
correct.
audio. Like I said, I was redoing it's currently in work right now. We're on
Oh, you're doing
stanza
that?
6 of 22, and we're doing it right now. Yes.
Oh, that make
We're
it more
doing the
exciting
audiobook.
too.
Yeah.
That make it more exciting too.
Mhm.
You know.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
like I said, it's gonna sound like you're listening to a movie. It will
oh, that's
draw you in very
right.
much so. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds exciting. That sounds good. So instead of sitting and read it yourself,
Yes. Yeah.
sometimes you read it yourself, it's kind of boring, But right, you can visualize right through your mind what it looks like when someone is reading it to you. I'm like, okay. Now, Peter, before we wrap up, from everything we have talked about, what means the most to you from your journey, from everything we talked about today?
Besides my children?
Oh, that's number one. Well,
Yes,
that's right.
that's
Well,
number
we
one.
know that. We know that.
Yes.
That's
yes.
number one.
I would say the impact that the music's gotten, the feedback that we've gotten from the songs, it is just phenomenal. I mean, like our song "The Loop," to help people that are repetitive cycles in their lives that might not necessarily realize it, but then all of a sudden they listen to the song, they think about it, and then realize, wait a minute, I'm in a loop. I'm in a repetitive cycle in my life, and I need to change it. And it's helped them so much. So, it's just one of those things where step by step we're trying to help humanity.
It's more like therapy too when you help them. It's more like therapy to get in touch. People, you can relate to people different ways. The reading, drama, music, poetry, all different ways
Yes.
to connect with people. Now, Peter, what's next for you? How can people follow you? We already talked about where they can get your book, but what's next for you?
Well, they could go to www.petergunn.net and look at my current projects. They could also go to their favorite music app and download the album. The album name is called Hazing Hades, and the band name is called the Angelics. I'm currently working on a self-help book as well. So
Oh,
that's still in work.
really?
Yes.
That sounds exciting. Oh, okay. You think it might be out maybe next year? I know it takes time for all
Oh
of
yeah,
this.
it takes time. It takes time. Yes.
You're so
I
busy.
have about right now as an
Oh.
entrepreneur, I have writers on staff, but they're busy doing other things. So I have 12 people working for me right now. So
Wow,
it's
12 people.
yes, it's a lifestyle to be an entrepreneur. It's something that's not for the weak of heart, really isn't.
Sometimes you don't know if you're coming or going.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
to sit there and think, what am I doing? Okay, get myself straight, right? Get myself straight. But this has been great conversation. Thank you, Peter, so much. for taking the journey, for us coming along on your journey.
Well,
Appreciate
thank you,
it.
Jocelyn, for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Well, you take care, all right? Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. For our viewers at home watching, if you like what you see, subscribe to The Jocelyn Moore Show. Want to be a guest on our show? Head over to our website, www.jmentertainment.info. On the homepage, click on About and follow directions to be a guest. If you have any questions about today's show or past or future shows, just click Contact on our website and submit a message. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, take care and keep watching.